and welcome back to the Nash Metal Production channel here at YouTube. Of course, end of the decade lists are still rolling on. This, of course, being my second one, and this list, of course, focuses on my favorite speed metal albums that were released within the 2010s. But instead of ranking about 10 albums, we're going with 8. 8 albums here. So, since of course I'm not looking forward to at least making another 30-minute video, this one shouldn't be very long. So without further ado, let's go right in. Coming in at number 8, as of course, is the debut full-length album from, of course, Spanish band Evil Killer. It's titled Lethal Assault. Since then, they did release an album after this one called Witchcraft, which I didn't check out. However, this is their very first album. Definitely following their 2013 debut demo, which again I remember checking out when it was on Bandcamp. This is definitely, again, some solid speed metal. Definitely your sort of no frills, high octane, melodic speed metal though, because it definitely has a more melodic feel. It definitely almost at times can push towards almost a slight proto power metal style, just pacing everything on there. Within there, but it's definitely a solid speed metal album, and it's worthy of being in this list. Again, it can't really put within a thrash metal list because it's not completely aggressive. Again, it's also due to the vocals here, which are definitely typical what you would hear in speed metal. Almost more melodic, more high pitched, definitely more hitting those kind of high falsetto stuff and all that. Those kinds of screams. That's what you'll expect from here, and it's definitely good. Again, nothing bad on here. It's just solid stuff. Don't have to talk too much about it. So there at number 8 is Lethal Assault from Evil Killer. Coming in at number 7 is, right now, just seems to be the only full-length album from these German speedsters. That's, of course, is Intoxicated with, of course, Rock and Roll Hell Patrol, which was released through Hell's Headbangers Records back in 2013. And again, since then, this is the only album. Definitely, though, within the Motorhead camp. It's just great. Of course, what gives that away as well is the very last track being the cover of The Chase is Better Than the Catch off the classic Ace of Spades album. Though, very raw stuff. This definitely is not, and compared to like the Lethal Assault from Evil Killer, that almost sounds more like a power metal album compared to this, because this again is just raw, in your face, no bullshit style of speed metal that almost at times can almost be put in the same camp as some, like Venom or Baphomet's Blood, or those kind of bands. It just has that raw feel, almost like, again, almost a slight, very raw new wave or British heavy metal style, but it's definitely just great stuff. The lyrics here, I mean, look at the back cover. It definitely, sex and Satan is basically what you expect, and the vocals, well, again, making those comparisons to Motorhead are definitely those kind of gruff kind of vocals and stuff. Very, very much, again, would have made Lemmy feel proud. Still, again, just some solid stuff. Not, again, even it's a slightly short album too. But Rock and Roll Hell Patrol from Intoxicated. Again, it'd be nice if these guys would at least put the time and effort to at least make a follow-up to this, because it has to be one album. Jeez. So, at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is Bury the Hatchet from October 31. The thing I'm kind of starting to say is that, or at least to build some words, is these guys are usually referred to as a heavy metal band, but again, musically here, it's very thrashy and very speedy. Of course, October 31 is one of King Fowley's bands, of course, being the main front guy for Deceased, which of course, again, one of the longest old school death metal bands that's still going strong to this day. But this was his more heavy speed metal band. But again, I guess I wouldn't completely compare it much to Intoxicated, because King Fowley's vocals isn't really what you expect with something like Evil Killer. It's a little more guttural almost. But again, almost what would have been easy to throw this in a thrash metal list, but I think within these kind of bands, I think it's just, in a way, it's more, I would say, something like this is more comfortable with these kind of bands. But it's definitely good stuff, though. Buried a Hatchet was released in 2014, also released through Hell's Headbangers. I mean, there's just nothing bad on here. I mean, this is raw, just straight to the jugular, just aggressive, almost, I guess you could say very horrifying, guttural, heavy, speedy, thrashy metal is basically just a good way to really kind of, in a way, to summon up this album. Of course, when I say horrifying, because the lyrics are definitely inspired by, again, stuff similar like horror movies and stuff. Of course, with the artwork there, it's definitely has that horror theme going, throughout this album. But there's also a cover on here, of course, with October 31 and King Fowley. He definitely likes to throw a lot of songs that pretty much at least gives way to his influences, or at least his inspirations, being the more obscure heavy metal bands. I mean, here he throws a cover of Icons Under My Gun, which of course being off their self-titled album when they were a true heavy metal band. But he definitely does his own take on it. It's definitely a good album. There's just nothing bad on here. There's just plenty of good songs. Just a great album from October 31, Buried a Hatchet. Alright, so coming in at number 5 is an album that was just released last year. This, of course, I have a connect in this band. I'm actually friends with the guy. This, of course, is Seox with Fallout Rituals. This being, of course, the third full-length album from Seox, and I think I'm at least third? No, I think this is actually the fourth album, if I am correct. It's actually the fourth album. Released through Shadow Kingdom Records in 2019. This is probably the most recent album or at least from last year, you're going to see in this list here. Again, this probably goes back to, again, something similar to like Evil Killer, though a little more faster, a little more hyper speed, if you really can say it will. And of course, a singer like Carmine Blades, he isn't anywhere near at least the guy on Evil Killer, but he's definitely just more rapid in his performance. It's just, again, just solid stuff. Not really, again, to say this would be thrash, but it definitely is aggressive speed metal. Very much taking a lot of influence against something like Agent Steel and so on, or just good stuff. There's just nothing bad to say. I've already did a review for this one anyway, but there at number 5, Fallout Rituals from Seox. Now, finally, we're getting into at least the last 4 albums here. Again, we're going quite quickly. So again, coming in number 4, probably the closest you're going to see to a more legendary band in this list. This, of course, is the, right now, still the most recent album from Hellstar. This is Vampiro. Now, since I couldn't do a list of U.S. power metal bands, because I didn't really listen to a whole lot, and I don't own a whole lot of albums from the more, more U.S. power metal bands and stuff that would be considered U.S. power metal has been released bands are not within the U.S. So it has to fit in within this list at least. And again, this is more speedy. Almost was willing to throw this within the thrash metal list. Now I'm thinking about putting together, because it is very thrashy. And of course, Hellstar has been one of those bands that actually almost flirt with thrash in ways, especially on begin with sounds like Remnants of War and A Distant Thunder, and of course Nosferatu. And this album is no exception. And of course, it seems like it is a sequel to Nosferatu in many ways. I mean, it goes back to the themes of vampires and that kind of lore and of it, and it's definitely great. But it is a little more. It does have a modern feel to it, but without losing any of its classic characteristics, or at least what makes Hellstar Hellstar. I mean, James Rivera still has the voice. He still can he still can hit those notes and everything. He still sounds just as good as he probably did since 1989. It just has that. It just sounds amazing on here. but there's just plenty of great songs on here. There's just not a bad song. This is probably, I think, within at least people that are fans of Hellstar will even say this might be the best album since Nosferatu. It's just that strong of an album. Just great, solid, dark, and aggressive, and almost, again, very mysterious sounding U.S. power speed metal. Just great stuff. I mean, them, Metal Church, and Vicious Rumors are just bands that don't seem to let go of, at least, of delivering the goods. They are all, these are bands that just seems to have been consistent over the years, and Hellstar just fits in with those kind of bands. It's just great. So, Hellstar, Vampiro at number 4, and it was released back in 2016 on David Elephant's label, NMP. Alright, so coming in at number 3 is Where Evil Dwells from Ranger. And of course, these guys hail out of Finland. Now, these guys, of course, Ranger really picked up the pace, at least got their footing dipped here in 2010s. It really kind of, everything just really picked up within here. I mean, they released the Knights of Darkness EP in 2013. Since of them releasing more demos and stuff, that was the probably first studio release, and really gave everybody a much better, at least even more of an idea of what these guys were about. And some will say that's still their best release, but here, this is probably my favorite of their of the 2 full-length albums that they released, and so this of the 2 full-length albums, because the one after this one, Speed of Violence, is a good album, but I don't think it ever quite came, it didn't quite reach the level of just greatness of this album right here. I mean, this is just crushing. It's very crunchy, very raw. And of course, again, probably similar again with bands like Seahawks and Evil Killer, but it's again a little more heavier and more aggressive sound. I mean, this is probably way more similar to stuff like Megadeth and Agent Steel and that kind of thing. And the reason I bring up a lot of the Megadeth influence is because of, if you listen to a song like Phantom Soldier, I mean, the vocalist who is Demi Pontiac, who of course is the bass player and vocalist and stuff, his voice in a way I almost feel like it buys the best in ways replicating Dave Mustaine's almost very troll-like growl almost. Just his real voice, it's just, it adds that, why it kind of gives that off for me, and it's just great. There's just nothing bad on here. And of course, it's also got the, again, still closest one of Ranger's most epic songs, that being the title track here, which almost in ways is a little over 10 minutes long, and it's just fantastic. This definitely harkens back to the days of Metal Blade and Combat Records and Music for Nation. Just great, great stuff. And still, it seems to have been an album that is very hard, I would say hard for a band like Ranger to actually top still. And since then, they haven't really released anything since Speed and Violence, and it seems like it's only 2 guys left, so I don't know what's going on. I really wish these guys would at least get back together, at least probably record one more album at least, or at least trying, because of I think they're a great band. So, they're at number 3, Where Evil Dwells from Ranger. Now, coming in at number 2 is the album that's playing in the background. This, of course, is the very first full-length album from Vulture. This is The Guillotine, and man, this funny thing is that it's at number 2 when this could have been number 1. I mean, this was my number 1 album of 2017, and this, again, it followed their very spectacular 2016 EP, Victim of the Blade, which was just a fucking great EP. It was just fantastic. And still, they have released a second album after this, which, I just, forgot the name of it. Which is, let me, since it's not that long here, we're not getting too long, so let me try without making any, what's that? Or who knows, I'm not already, I'm forgetting the, here we go, we're going to, I'm already on Metal Archives, so I can't seem to Ghastly Waves and Battered Graves is the album that came after this one. And again, is their debut on Metal Blade Records. But here, this was their second release for High Roller Records, and it again is their last release on High Roller Records. But man, what a great album! I haven't really heard much of the album after this. I have heard some samples of some of the songs that came, and again, it just sounds great. And I forgot, and it's one of the albums that I actually didn't get last year, and it probably would have made at least my list of for 2019. But this one was my number one album. Just great, solid German, again, high octane, foot to the pedal, speed metal, and it's just great. It's great stuff. Again, in the same sort of vein like Ranger and Evil Killer and Seox. However, a lot more thrashier though compared to those bands. It's just more thrashier, a little raw too. I mean, the production here definitely sounds like something that could have easily been released back in 1987 or 80. At times reminds me a little bit of the German band Rage. Like a Reign of Terror or Execution Guarantee just reminds me a bit of that. Just great stuff. So, there, number 2 with the Guillotine. So what's number 1? Well, it was my number 1 album of 2016. That, of course, is In Satan We Trust by Baphomet's Blood, which was their... Right now, it was their only full-length album they released in the 2010s. They had an EP released in the 2010s, or like 2011, which was a great EP, but then they just come roaring with this one, and oh my fucking god. This is still probably, again, one of my favorite speed metal, or just still probably of this year, one of my favorite metal albums. Just fantastic stuff. I know this is a CD copy. There's no CD copy of this. It was only released on vinyl. However, I did buy this through Bandcamp, though. So, that's where, but again, this was a fantastic album. Again, Baphomet's Blood, definitely following with the sort of Motorhead and Venom camp, and definitely more within the Venom camp. I mean, it's almost like if Lemmy was fronting Venom. Just has that. It's just great. At times, it also pushes towards thrash and plays, but also touches, even at times, traditional heavy metal, and especially something close like the new wave of British heavy metal. I mean, you got there's just hooks on the sound, too. I mean... as very typical when it comes to this kind of stuff, very in your face when it comes to their lyricals, and again, the themes and stuff. These guys definitely are just, definitely know how to kind of at least come up with a riff and a song structure. It's just good stuff. Lyrics, on the other hand, again, it can be a turnoff. But for me, it doesn't completely take away of how interjected them. Even the film samples don't completely bug me as much. Even though at times I might get at times because you just want to get into the music, but it's still good though. I still like this. It's just a fantastic album, and probably right now is the best album from Baphomet's Blood. I mean, these guys definitely got their footing in the 2000s, especially during the mid to late 2000s. But they probably, I mean, they were just growing, but here, this is the album I would say is probably the album probably might have just hit their prime. It's just fantastic. So with that, there's my number 1 speed metal, at least my absolute favorite speed metal album of the 2010s in general. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. I'll definitely be coming back with a thrash metal video, basically ranking up my favorite thrash metal albums of the 2010s. So with that, let me know what were your favorite speed metal albums of the 2010s. So until then, this is Every Thrasher saying I'm out, and I'll see you all later, and I'll definitely get into recording my very first podcast episode. So, take care, everyone.